Welcome to British Railways Today, issue number 8. In this programme, we visit the busy freight and passenger lines around Brocklesby in northeast Lincolnshire, a trip to the Spa Valley Railway near Royal Tunbridge Wells, electric multiple units feature in our look at passenger operations on the Ayrshire Coast, freight and passenger action in South Gloucestershire, the Ipswich to Felixstowe branch, and a return to northeast Lincolnshire for freight and passenger traffic east of Scunthorpe. In the first section of this programme, we travel to north-east Lincolnshire, to one of the busiest lines for freight in the country, not far from the port of Immingham. Located close to the Humber estuary, to the west of Cleethorpes and Grimsby, the location is to the east of the steelmaking town of Scunthorpe. We call into a number of spots around Barnetby and Brocklesby. The first two locations are centred around the now closed station at Brocklesby, to the west of a triangle of lines as shown on the map. Our second location is from an often overlooked crossing just to the west. Our visit took place over a number of days, beginning on the evening of the 13th of June 2023, as diesel unit number 185111 heads towards the camera, forming the 1924 from Cleethorpes to Liverpool. It's generally the freight that attracts photographers and observers to the area, as 66149 is our first example seen powering a trainload of empty biomass from Drax power station to the port of Immingham. Class 70s are relatively newcomers to the line, when their operator Colas won the haulage contract on the various oil flows out of the nearby Lindsey Refinery. This is 7804, giving it some welly on the 6M24, the 2002 departure from Lindsey to Kingsbury Oil Terminal. What goes out must come in. Here's another Class 70, number 805, bringing a set of empty tank wagons back towards the refinery, the train being the 1541 from Jarrow. The line sees a continual supply of coal and iron ore trains from Immingham docks to the steelworks at Scunthorpe. This is empty iron ore wagons headed by 66112. The late evening sun lights up the sides of this string of loaded iron ore wagons hauled by 66044, forming train 6T29 from Immingham Ore Terminal to the discharge facilities at Scunthorpe's Santon Gate. The following morning we were up bright and early to film 7801 on light engine move OD57, the 0424 Barnetby to Lindsey Oil Refinery. Yes, that's 0424. Coming off what was once a 4-track section, we see 66112 on 6K19 from Santon to Immingham. There is a regular passenger service to and from Cleethorpes and Grimsby to Lincoln and onwards to Manchester and Liverpool. Operating the empty positioning move, which is the 0440 from Lincoln to Cleethorpes, is Class 170 number 271, heading off in the direction of the rising sun. In the opposite direction is classmate number 170-273 with train 2L50, the 0500 from Cleethorpes to Lincoln. The use of Class 68 diesels on South Pennine services from Cleethorpes to Liverpool has been in the planning for quite a while. Whether anything actually comes to fruition is anyone's guess. Apart from a token one each way a day service, which often gets cancelled, the only other appearance of the class is on this as required training run. The loco involved this time is 68020. Brocklesby station was closed by British Rail on the 3rd of October 1993. The now Grade 2 listed building was built and located close to the home of the Earl of Yarborough, the then chairman of the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, who built the line. The station was opened in 1848. The closed signal box here is also Grade 2 listed. The early morning sun illuminates 66094, heading another trainload of empty biomass wagons from Drax power station. Pretty well all freight trains diverge to the north here to access the various loading terminals situated in the Immingham Docks complex. Spare capacity in the rakes of iron ore tipplers has resulted in the ore wagons being used for imported coal from Immingham to Scunthorpe, replacing the use of HTA hoppers previously used. Here 66112 passes with the 807 from Immingham to Scunthorpe Santon Gate loaded coal. When we visited here back on the 14th of July 2021, the HTA wagon types were still being used for the coal trains. This is the 7:30 Immingham to Scunthorpe loaded train, seen here behind 66143. Our camera's telephoto lens really emphasises 66021 and its train of tank wagons, as it is seen heading west through Brocklesby station. The overbridge scene was where we positioned ourselves in the opening part of this feature. This train is one of the ones that has been taken over by Colas, who now use their Class 70s. Moments later, and 158854 scurries past, forming the 636 from Nottingham to Grimsby. Seven minutes later, and we see 185128 and 133 working train 1B64, the 556 from Manchester to Cleethorpes. 158854 returns, forming the 839 from Grimsby to Leicester, and passes 66158 on the 0811 returning empties from Santon to Immingham. You can expect to see anything from 2 to 6 freight trains along here per hour, depending on the time of day. (66206) gets to grips with the regular Lindsey to Neville Hill fuel tanks. This train often only consists of just 5 100-ton tank wagons. There are normally loaded biomass trains every 2 hours in each direction, depending on the demand from Drax power station. This is the 10:13 departure from Immingham, hauled by 66083. Finally, we see 66034 returning with ore empties from Scunthorpe. We will return to this line a little later on in this programme. The Spa Valley Railway runs from Rural Tunbridge Wells west to Ayrshire, a distance of just over 5 miles. Originally opened as a preservation line shortly after closure by British Rail in July 1985, the facility is a popular attraction, with over 55,000 visitors to the line each year. The main filming locations are shown here on our map. We called at the railway on the 21st of May 2022 to check out a typical day's action. We begin and end this section at Groombridge, our first filming spot closest to the station platform at position number 1. Arriving with the first train of the day is Riddle and Hunslet designed 060 number 2890, built in 1943. This loco was originally constructed as a saddle tank and was rebuilt as a tender locomotive at the Mid-Hants Railway in the early 1990s, which enabled it to be used as Douglas from the Thomas the Tank Engine stories. Since 1962 it was renumbered as 3882. It spent time working for the War Department and the National Coal Board before being preserved and working on the Bristol Suburban Railway and then the South Devon Railway, before heading to the Mid-Hants. It was subsequently transferred to the Ribble Steam Railway and received cosmetic changes during an overhaul to make it look more authentic, where it was also renumbered back to number 2890. As can be seen here, it now works on the Spa Valley Railway. On the rear of the train is Class 73 electro diesel number 140, which will work back from Ayrshire later. We now head east and to the railway's headquarters at Royal Tunbridge Wells. We chose a couple of filming spots around the terminus and close to the engine shed. On display were two operational diesels, Class 31 number 430 and Class 33 number 063. The line's other Class 33 number 065 was inside the shed undergoing restoration. 33063 was built in 1962 and withdrawn from Stewart's Lane Depot in February 1997. Both it and number 065 belong to the South East Locomotive Group and were moved here from 2002 onwards. Number 31430 is from an original fleet size of 263. It is now in former BR Blue livery and carries its sister Dora nameplates, affixed whilst it was allocated to Bescot Depot and in memory of the renowned nun and nurse who lived and worked in nearby Walsall during the 1880s. Arriving from Ayrshire is Class 73 number 140. There's also plenty to look at in the nearby yard, including the signal box, as well as other items of rolling stock in process of restoration. Class 10 shunter number 3489 is due to leave the railway for pastures new later this summer. Here it rests between periodic duties. About a mile west of the station is the High Rocks outcrop, where we see number 2890 being given a workout on the 1 in 88 grade up to Royal Tunbridge Wells. We return to Groombridge for our final scene, featuring number 2890 again. This is a delightful little railway and is well worth a visit if you're ever in the area. Heading north, and we are off to southwest Scotland and the delightful Ayrshire Coast. As usual, our maps show the main locations of our filming, this one giving the general position in terms of its whereabouts in the UK. Electric multiple units dominate the passenger train scene to the north of Ayr, as we call into 3 locations. The first not far from Irvine, then to Saltcoats, and finally just north of Ayr itself. Siemens Desiro Class 380s are the units that cover the services, where there are 3 and 4 car formations running to and from Glasgow. This is 380-109, working train 1K15, the 932 from Glasgow to Ayr. The island of Arran can be seen hiding underneath the cloud base, in this view looking west. Down the coast can be seen the port of Ayr, which was the centre of coal exports many years ago, mainly to industrial customers in Ireland. This involved several trains a day to and from local mines. Skirting the edge of the local golf course is 380021 on the 906 from Ayr to Glasgow. .38019 is one of 22 three-car units constructed in 2010 and designated as Class 380/0. The 16 four-car versions, constructed 8 years later, are Class 380/1s. This is 380-108 on the 934 Glasgow to Ayr. Just up the coast is the seaside town of Saltcoats, where the branch to Ardrossan and Largs diverges from the Ayr line at Kilwinning. Running along the seawall is 380-103 on the 1018 from Glasgow to Ardrossan. Three-car variant number 380022 heads the other way. .380-011 is on the 1048 Glasgow to Largs service. This stretch of the route is sometimes temporarily closed in the winter months, when high seas and winds cause spray to wash over the electrified line. Our only diesel, as Class 156 DMU number 156442, heads south towards Newton-on-Ayr, forming the 1202 from Kilmarnock to Girvan on the 16th of July 2021. In the opposite direction, the once flourishing yard area is all but a ghost of its former self, as 380-112 forms the 1236 from Ayr to Glasgow. Wickwar is a small village situated close to the Birmingham to Bristol main line, not far from the southern escarpment of the Cotswold Hills on the old Midland main line south of Gloucester. Our filming positions are north and south of the Wickwar Tunnel, and on a day when the main route on the opposite side of the nearby River Severn via Chepstow was closed due to engineering work. We begin on the northern outskirts of the settlement, as one of the half-hourly cross-country services, formed with units 221, 130 and 135 on the 1235 from Bristol to Birmingham, head past our camera. At least once a day there is a loaded fuel train to and from the terminal at Westerly. This is usually the 0421 from Robeson Refinery in West Wales, but can be supplemented by additional trains from the same source. Here we see 60011 on one such train, which ran up this line to and from Gloucester. The first proper diverted train is this one, the 4V44, or the 1045 from Daventry to Wentloog, operated by DRS for their customer Tesco. Locomotive 66424 is providing the power. Moving to our second position south of the tunnel, we see the 0808 Edinburgh to Bristol HST service, with power cars 43378 and 43304 in charge. Another diverted freight via this line is powered by 66194, the empty steel coil train from Corby to Margam. A few of the Class 166 units used on local services were still in the first Great Western blue livery, and amazingly we were about to see two of them pass each other within minutes on local trains via Gloucester. The first is 166209, seen here, followed by 166215 heading in the other direction. Our final freight train diversion sees 66113 on the 6M41, the 1057 from Margam to Round Oak steel train. The final filming position is just slightly south, not far from Yate, where 165135 is first to be seen working a local train from Westbury. We were here to film this, 40013 heading the 1603 from Bristol to Lancaster charter train. Moving east across the country, we now take a look at the branch line serving the busy container port at Felixstowe. Situated in the south of eastern England, the port is a major calling point for container ships from around the world, as well as shorter shipping routes to and from Europe. The branch line serving it runs to and from Ipswich, where we chose a number of locations, beginning closest to the docks, the first at the junction at Trimley, where the line splits in order to access different terminals within the port complex. Little, if anything, has changed here since we took these shots in the summer of 2021, with a continuous flow of container trains, usually in the hands of Class 66 locomotives. Here at Trimley we see 66587 heading towards the port with the 2301 departure from Crewe to Felixstowe. Nine minutes later, and it is the turn of Freightliners 66547 to head east with the 4L40, the 0300 from Doncaster to Felixstowe. Local passenger services operate to and from Ipswich and are formed by Class 755 units built by Stadler. This is unit number 336, which together with one other will operate the hourly services for most of the day. Trains for the Felixstowe South Terminal operate through the station using the right-hand line. This one is operated by GBRF. The 66707 is in charge of the 0055 service from Masborough. This was the third out of 5 container trains that we saw here in the first hour. Shortly after leaving the North Terminal, we see 66420 with train 4M94, the 750 from Felixstowe to Birmingham Lawley Street. DB Cargo's 66085 heads the 8 o'clock from Felixstowe South to East Midlands Gateway. Having passed the previous train, number 66550 crosses over to the North Quay line, heading the 0247 from Leeds.
and I'm going to have a quick word with them.
Moving slightly north, we are at our second spot close to Trimley St Martin, which offers good views of southbound trains. Unit 755336 is first to be seen heading for Ipswich. The passenger train was followed just minutes later by 66565 on the lightly loaded 0832 service bound for Ditton. "23 minutes later, and the 2347 departure from Liverpool Garston to Felixstowe comes into view as the local farmer carries on with preparing his fields for future crops. Although the branch is only around 12 miles long, there are a number of photo opportunities to be had, and as can be seen, you don't have to wait very long for a container or passenger service to pass you by. A fairly nondescript location was just east of Levington, where this level crossing shot shows 755326, heading the 958 service from Ipswich. The passenger was followed by 66754 on the 0250 departure from Doncaster to Felixstowe. Location number 4 is our last filming spot on this stretch of line and comes from the eastern side of Ipswich at Derby Road Station. Our maps once again show our position. This is a double track section just before the line drops to a single track in both directions. Heading west is GBRF's 66722 on the 4M29, the 1028 Felixstowe to Birch Coppice. This is the 10th container train that we have seen in just over 3 hours. The line through here opened on the 1st of May 1877 and was taken over by the Great Eastern Railway just 10 years later. In November of the same year, the company opened a new passing loop and a new platform, on which we are now standing. The original station only had the down platform situated on the other side. "755-326 is seen approaching the station, forming train 2R12, the 1058 from Ipswich to Felixstowe. Our last scene from the line depicts 66760 on train 4L12, the 0350 from Hams Hall. There's no doubt this line is one of the busiest 4-container trains in the whole country. With the Port of Felixstowe still expanding, it won't be many more years before we see some significant investment, which will almost certainly see the line being doubled throughout. It's back to northeast Lincolnshire now, as we conclude our look at traffic east of Scunthorpe, on the line out towards Immingham and Cleethorpes. In this section we have two locations either side of Barnetby, itself a popular train watching location. We begin at Melton Ross, on a footbridge which takes pedestrians over the busy tracks. Looking west towards Barnetby, we see Class 185s, numbers 125 and 124, on train 1B70, the 918 from Manchester to Cleethorpes. A few minutes later and 66143 appears, powering the 1111 Scunthorpe to Immingham set of empties. The power station at Ratcliffe upon Soar is one of the last working coal-fired power stations still in operation. As such, supplies of fresh coal come via the port of Immingham. Here GBRF's 66780 is working a set of coal empties, which is the 1005 from Doncaster to Immingham. The train will later return loaded to the power station, travelling back via Lincoln. It's a continuous game of changing camera positions here as trains appear heading in different directions. This time around it's 66096 on the 1031 from Drax power station to Immingham. There is an occasional trainload of steel slabs, which are exported via the docks at Immingham. They provide a change from the regular iron ore, coal, biomass and oil trains. This is 66069 on train 6G72, the 1124 from Scunthorpe Steelworks to Immingham Docks. Our final location is just east of Scunthorpe, to the north of Broughton, at the foot of the Santon Incline, which means westbound loaded trains have to turn on the power in order to get up the hill. The location is through the woods to the east of the B1207 road. First up, it is 66034, heading west on train 6T25, the 1334 from Immingham to Santon. Dropping down the grade in the opposite direction is 66118 on a Scunthorpe to Immingham empty coal working. These coal and the iron ore trains shuttle between Immingham and Scunthorpe all day and night during the week, with a slightly reduced frequency on a Saturday and Sunday. For those viewers getting withdrawal symptoms in terms of the lack of biomass trains, no fear, we have one now to ease your pain. 66096 heads through the windy conditions at the head of 6H75, the 1415 from Immingham Dock to Drax Power Station. 185115 drops down the grade, forming the 1318 from Manchester to Cleethorpes. We move from 2021 to 2023 now, and on the 14th of June we see 66094 beginning to tackle the grade with the 1013 Immingham to Drax. This tamping machine is on its way to Barnetby. An unidentified Class 185 is on a Manchester to Cleethorpes working. (66149) provides the power for this Drax to Immingham empty biomass working. Although this line does see a bit of repetition when it comes to freight trains, so really you only need to say half a day here before you start seeing the majority of locos again, the line is busy, with 3 an hour on average. so it's definitely worth a stopover should you be in the area. As the train passes, we hope that you have enjoyed watching this issue of British Railways Today.